Hello again. Today we continue our journey with a little break because after the last surah, which I intentionally mislabeled, the actual title is Repentance. However, uh, I could have labeled it a little bit more generously as Surrender. I think that captures the same point I was trying to make. However, it famously has a verse in it called the Sword Verse, known colloquially to us non-Muslims and Islamophobes as the Sword Verse, and so I just slipped that into the whole title. I know a lot of people probably are upset by that and probably feel like I am disingenuous, and to those people I say, yes, exactly. It's in the title. Uh, but however, I am very curious still. I think it's a very fascinating book, and I think it has a lot of interesting things to say about the history of ideas in this world, and in fact, more so, has a lot of influence on the West that I had not fully appreciated. Um, However, I took a little break just so I could, frankly, wash the foul taste out of my mouth, but also to sort of come at it fresh, come at the next chapter fresh. And the next chapter is titled Jonah. A Meccan surah which takes its title from the reference to Jonah in verse 98. It stresses God's power, the authenticity of the Qur'an, and the fate of evildoers. God's anger at those who consistently deny the truth of his revelation and signs is made clear, as is the fact that, were it not for his decision to await the day of resurrection, his judgment would already have fallen upon them. The Prophet is encouraged to be patient and reminded of the fact that he cannot force people to believe. Ah, very good. I was, as often, when it stresses the God's anger at those who consistently deny the truth of his revelation, as if doubt should be considered a sin. Now, of course, it is stressed, and or so it says in the introduction here, that this prophet is encouraged to be patient and reminded of the fact that he cannot force people to believe. Very good. Very interested in that. The last surah, of course, interprets it as, well, if they have taken up arms against you at any point in time, they're people, they're leaders at any point in time, then the rest of them should be forcibly converted. That is my interpretation of the last one, just to bring everyone up to schedule. But in this case, much more so, I think it is. It may expand upon this in a more interesting way. So let's get on with it. Alif Lam Ra. These are the verses of the wise book. Really, does it? Really, this translation, is this actually the correct one? Interesting. These are my book here, which is written by M.A.S. Abdul Halim, spelled differently, interesting. And it says, these are the verses of the decisive scripture. With a note, Hakim is understood in various ways to mean full of wisdom, to suggest it gives decisions on matters, and to convey that it is perfected and well formed. And there's a footnote later. Or verses, sorry. See verses 38 to 39. Okay, so decisive, wise, conclusive, declarative, just, accurate, exact, these kinds of sentiments. The verses of the book of, to use a little bit of a turn of phrase, the book of judgments. Is it so surprising to people that we have revealed to a man from among them that he should warn people and give glad news to those who believe that they are on a sure footing with their Lord? Yet those who disbelieve say, this man is clearly a sorcerer. It is quite surprising, yes. Your Lord is God who created the heavens and earth in 6 days, then established himself on the throne, governing everything. There is no one that can intercede with him, unless he has first given permission. This is God your Lord, so worship him. How can you not take heed? Quite simply, because he does not exist. He is an invention of politicians and philosophers. It is to him you shall all return. That is a true promise from God. It is he who created you in the first place, and he will do so again, so that he may justly reward those who believe and do good deeds. But the disbelievers will have a drink of scalding water and agonizing torment, because they persistently disbelieve. Now this, again, as we noticed yesterday, stresses the fact that, or as we have noted very many days here, it stresses the fact that those who believe and do good deeds are consistently, the act of disbelief is considered a bad deed. This here can only be interpreted that way because the disbelievers will have a drink of scalding water and agonizing torment because they persistently disbelieved. Whereas no mention is made, perhaps later, of doing good deeds, but the equivocation of belief and doing good deeds is obviously politically expedient. It is he who made the sun a shining radiance and the moon a light, determining phases for it so that you might know the number of years and how to calculate time. God did not create all these without true purpose. He explains his signs to those who understand. Interesting rejection of the Copernican principle. The world was made for you. I mean, also quite interesting that the moon phases do not determine the passage of years, and so are very bad at determining the seasons, which is often what calendars were used for, determining when to plant your crops. Presumably, the invention of calendars was based on this, and based on the natural effects, like when is it. For instance, here where I live in Norway, it's now currently, well, the snow is covered in water as it is raining on top of it, but very snowy winters, or often quite snowy and icy winters, very windy falls. The spring is full of greenery sprouting out, and the summer is moderately sunny. So these signs of the passage of time are not accurately captured by the moon phases, which cycle through once every 28 days, roughly, a little bit over once every 28 days. Interestingly, the universe is not evenly ordered, as many people used to believe. So it seems like this, taken literally, this thing is a disproof of the statement in and of itself. And as I'm taking a little bit long to mention this, but this is a point that is often brought up to me, the idea of the scientific proofs or the scientific predictions, things that Muhammad could not possibly have known. Obviously, this is something he definitely could have known. It's simply an extrapolation of the utility of the moon phases. However, what he couldn't, or what he clearly didn't know, was that the moon phases aren't very good representations of the passage of time. They're representations of specifically the 28-day cycle of the moon, but the 365-day cycle of the year is not evenly divisible into the cycles of the moon. So the passage of time in years is not accurately predicted by the passage of time in moon phases, in months. Though to be clear, there are better ways than the one we're using as well. I've done the math. I think vaguely remember that 30 days would be a better month. Or was it 28 days? 29 days, sorry. And just have more of them. I think 13 months would have been nicer, but alas, we can only hope and dream. Would that? Yeah. Let's not dwell on the details. The important thing to note here is that the moon phases are not good for calculating the number of years. In the succession of night and day, and in what God created in the heavens and earth, there truly are signs for those who are aware of Him. Those who do not expect to meet us, and are pleased with the life of this world, contenting themselves with it, and paying no heed to our signs, shall have the fire for their home because of what they used to do. Now, here is implying that there is some sort of evil in it, though it is simply stating that it's sort of ingrained into the book, this idea. I know that a lot of religious people have this idea that you can only do good with God, but it's ingrained here into the book, consistently repeated. These are equivocated. These are spoken of in the same way. These are taken to be the same things. Expecting to meet God and pleased with the signs of that God has given us, these are necessary conditions for doing good deeds. Indeed, you would do evil if you did not. Again, I do not kneel to tyrants. But as for those who believe and do good deeds, their Lord will guide them because of their faith. Streams will flow at the feet in the garden of bliss. Their prayer in them will be, "Glory be to you, God," and their greeting, "Peace," and the last part of their prayer, "Praise be to God, Lord of worlds." Very, very much an insecure God who needs our worship, or demands our worship, I should say. Needs implies things, and I would be caught out on this one word. If God were to hasten on for people the harm they have earned, as they wish to hasten on the good, their time would already be up. But we leave those who do not expect to meet us to wander blindly in their excesses. Leave those who do not expect to meet us to wander blindly in their excesses. Fair enough. Thank you. I appreciate it. Actually, we'll write that down in my book of good things. Good things. Leave me alone. My leave me alone list, as I should perhaps title it. What is it? 10:11. Interestingly, no notes from the last surah, though there were two passages that were, one verse specifically that was decent enough that I could have written it here. However, I was in a sour mood at that point. 10:11. Leave us alone to our excesses. Very good, very decent of you. Very nice, God. Thank you. We'll meet again, and I shall have some choice words to say to you. When trouble befalls man, he cries out to us, whether lying on his side, sitting or standing, but as soon as we relieve him of his trouble, he goes on his way as if he had never cried out to us to remove his trouble. In this way, the deeds of such heedless people are made attractive to them. I mean, this is a fair way to criticize the use of faith culturally. Like, please God, let me just get this promotion, and then you get the promotion, and then you forget the promise you gave to. I mean, this is a funny meme. I've seen like many jokes being made about this kind of thinking. So I'm sure. I mean, I love that it's including what is to me essentially a joke, essentially a sort of jab at a mockery of fools who use language with no heed to what it means. Though to be fair, I also enjoy the use of language with no heed to what it means. Just fun to torture language. Before you people, we destroyed whole generations when they did evil. Their messengers brought them clear signs, but they refused to believe. This is how we repay the guilty. But no longer. So this, thanks to Muhammad, it seems, we are no longer to be destroyed every time. Every time we deny his message. Perhaps God has gotten sick of it all, like a petulant child who has been playing with his toys, and his toys refuse to obey him, and refuse and refuse and refuse. And every time this petulant child, this God, destroys us, we still continue to refuse. And every time he elevates us, we continue to refuse. And indeed, it seems like nothing he can do will change us. But the coming of Muhammad seems to be, well, now I've given you everything I'm going to give you. I don't care anymore. You'll get your due diligence. You'll get your reward in heaven or in hell. Or your punishment in hell, I should say. The garden or the fire. Much more poetic in Arabic than heaven and hell. Gardens with flowing streams, or everlasting fire where you drink scalding water. Much more poetic. Later we made you their successors in the land, to see how you would behave. When our clear revelations are recited to them, those who do not expect to meet with us say, "Bring us a different Qur'an or change it." Yep, that's me. Prophets say, "It is not for me to change it of my own accord. I only follow what it is revealed to me, for I fear the torment of an awesome day if I were to disobey my Lord." Yeah, this is the problem. This kind of thinking. It seems much more subtle than the things I read yesterday, but this kind of thinking of insisting that your understanding of what is revealed to you, whether it be the prophet who has this utter confidence that everything he sees was revealed to him by God and not by his own design, or whether it be people like me and you reading the Qur'an and saying, well, my impression of God is exactly the way God is. That is a problem. That is why these criticisms of my lacking interpretation just slip right off me, because indeed it is, I expect that my interpretation is wrong. That is the point. You are seeing me react to the Quran for the first time, where all of my knowledge from beforehand, all of my biases from beforehand are still shown. Now, many of you take that to mean I will one day convert, and I feel sorry for your optimism. Say, if God had so willed, I would not have recited it to you, nor would he have made it known to you. I lived a whole lifetime among you before it came to me. How can you not use your reason? So the reason being, this is just a rhetorical device to sort of imply that it is unreasonable to accept what has simply been stated to us. Like I made the point yesterday, what if I were to proclaim myself God's messenger and say, in fact, God has told me to reject this scripture? And indeed many have, many religious people. It's hard for me to do because I don't think there is a God, but many religious people have done exactly this. And so how can you not use your reason to see that they must be right if you must be right, simply because of the same reasons? If God had so willed, they would not have recited it to you, nor would God have made it known to you. They lived a whole lifetime among you before the word of God came to them. How can you not use your reason? Translate it into your head to use it against yourself and see if it is reasonable. That is the best way of seeing if it's reasonable. If it can be used against you, then it is not reasonable for you to use that argument. Who could be more wicked than someone who invents lies against God or denies his revelation? The guilty will never prosper, thereby insisting that he must not be inventing lies because he is good, and we would not dare accuse him of being evil. But indeed, I don't think it's wickedness, that inventing lies. I think inventing lies is simply human nature, confusion, ignorance. That's what happens. When our brain does not have enough information, we see faces in the clouds, in the moon. We hear rustling in the leaves and think of predators. Our imagination fills in the blanks. It is not to invent lies, it is simply to think. Or denying his revelations, again insisting that disbelief, rejection of the teachings, rejection of this man's word should be taken as an evil act. If you do not accept what I have to say, then you must be evil. Imagine if I were to say that to you. How can you not use your reason? They worship alongside God things that can neither harm nor benefit them, and say, these are our intercessors with God. Say, do you think you can tell God about something he knows not to exist in the heavens or earth? Glory be to him. He is far above the partner gods they associate with him. At this point, he's equating God to himself, saying that his word is necessarily the word of God, and you are speaking to God when you speak to him. This, to me, this is no more definite than when Jesus says he is God, which is also quite vague in my experience, in my memory at least. All people were originally one single community, but later they differed. If it had not been for a word from your Lord, the preordained judgment would already have been passed between them regarding their differences. They say, why has no miraculous sign been sent down to him from his Lord? Say, prophet, only God knows the unseen. So wait, I too am waiting. I too. And then hiding behind ignorance. We criticize you for your lack of certain knowledge, and the criticism, or the fallback line is, well, I'm not saying I know everything. I'm not saying that he's shown me everything. I'm just as uncertain as you are. Perhaps, of course, if taken in context, it undermines my interpretation of the previous verse, but the idea being here that he has just insisted on the unreasonableness of not believing for various very bad reasons. And so people like me, disbelievers, will ask, well, can you give me a better reason than your say-so? Can you show me something actually tangible rather than simply your words? No, of course. No is the answer. No sooner do we let people taste some mercy after some hardship has afflicted them than they begin to scheme against our revelations. Say, God schemes even faster. Our messengers record all your scheming. It is he who enables you to travel on land and sea until, when you are sailing on ships and rejoicing in the favoring wind, a storm arrives. Waves come at those on board from all sides, and they feel there is no escape. Then they pray to God, professing sincere devotion to him. If you save us from all of this, we shall truly be thankful. Yet no sooner does he save them back on land, they behave outrageously against all that is right. People, your outrageous behavior only works against yourselves. Take your little enjoyment in this present life. In the end, you will return to us, and we shall confront you with everything you have done. I certainly hope so. I shall do the same. The life of this world is like this. Rain that we send down from the sky is absorbed by the plants of the earth, from which humans and animals eat. Very good. But when the earth has taken on its finest appearance and adorns itself, and its people think they have power over it, then the fate we commanded comes to it, by night or by day, and we reduce it to stubble, as if, I'm assuming, well, maybe, as in stubble, as in beard, as if it had not flourished just the day before. This is the way we explain the revelation for those who reflect. Listen and believe, my brothers. Listen and believe, and then you shall be faithful. If only you believed everything we told you to. Are there no cynics among you? Are there none of you who see how this can easily and has easily been used by tyrants wishing to insist on their own righteousness, on their own right to rule? This is perhaps one of the strange. I often get this comment: why is the West doing better? Or what do you mean? Like the reason the Muslim world has more problems is like these geopolitical struggles, and I shouldn't compare the West with the Muslim world in this way. But I've refined this position perhaps a little bit. I admit some excess in how I've described myself before. The way I would phrase it is that we got rid of this kind of thinking. We got rid of the kings who insisted on God having pronounced themselves as rulers, and how dare we deny the word of God? God would not have revealed this king to us if he did not want to. And if we deny it, then we will get our punishment in hell, in the hereafter. This kind of thinking that is displayed by this verse is exactly the kind of thinking we have done away with, and when we did away with it, our societies became better. I do not know for certain, indeed, or with any degree of confidence, that it will make your worlds better, but it certainly made ours better. But God invites everyone to the home of peace and guides whoever he will to a straight path. Those who did well will have the best reward and more besides. Neither darkness nor shame will cover their faces. These are the companions in paradise, and there they will remain. Very good, I guess. As for those who did evil, each evil deed will be requited by its equal, and humiliation will cover them. No one will protect them against God, as though their faces were covered with veils cut from the darkness of the night. These are the inmates of the fire, and there they shall remain. Love this poetry. Come on. How much joy would I have lost if I had not gone upon this journey? This is why I come back. Honestly, these are the inmates of fire, and there they shall remain. Much as I despise the association of evilness with disbelief, I am very pleased to hear a good hellfire sermon. It is. Do not need to believe in architecture, or I do not need to believe in God to believe in architecture, and just the same, I do not need to believe in God to believe in poetry. On the day we gather them all together, we shall say to those who associate partners with God, stay in your place, you and your partner gods. Then we shall separate them and their partner gods and say, it was not us you worshipped. Presumably that should have been capitalized, us as in God speaking. God is witness enough between us and you. We had no idea that you worshipped us. Oh, the partner gods will... I thought it earlier said that these partner gods didn't exist, that God knew, like, how are we to tell God that these things exist? Perhaps they don't exist in the way they did. It was not us you worshipped. God is witness enough between us and you. We had no idea you worshipped us. Then we shall separate them. And their partner gods will say, it was not us. Okay. So God will create images, perhaps, of our delusions and declare, make us see the truth. I hope so. My delusion would be nothingness. Perhaps, and I do not think I have worshipped it quite so much. I guess Iblis, though, and Satan, and all of those characters, those rebels for whom I feel kinship to. Every soul will realize then and there that what it did in the past. They will be returned to God, their rightful Lord, and their invented gods will desert them. Say, prophet, who provides for you from the sky and the earth, who controls hearing and sight, who brings forth the living from the dead and the dead from the living, and who governs everything. They are sure to say God. No, that is not certain at all. I very much have like I was thinking about this, what the answer was. Who provides for you from the sky and the earth? Nature. Who controls hearing and sight? Nature. Who brings forth the living from the dead and the dead from the living? Who governs everything? Nature, nature, and nature. The laws of nature. They do not need to be sentient to be real. Then they say, so after they are sure to say God, which I disagree with, but then the prophet should respond to those who say that God, to those who already believe in a monotheistic God, then the prophet should say, what, or indeed anyone should say, what? So why do you not take heed of him? That is God, your Lord, the truth. Apart from the truth, what is there except error? So how is it that you are dissuaded? This seems to be defining God as truth. Is God the concept of truth itself? Concept of goodness, as it was earlier? In this way, your Lord's word about those who defy the truth has been proved. They do not believe. This is great circular reasoning, honestly. This is beautiful circular reasoning. This is somebody has perfected the art of circular reasoning, and that must be the prophet. For indeed, it is so said that the prophet made this, or recited this. Ask them, can any of your partner gods originate creation, then bring it back to life again in the end? Say, it is God that originates creation and brings it back to life. So how can you be misled? Partner gods originate nature and bring it back to life again in the end. I mean, I haven't seen that happen, apart from what nature does. Say, can any of your partner gods show you the way to the truth? Say, God shows the way to the truth. Is someone who shows the way to the truth more worthy to be followed, or someone who cannot find the way unless he himself is shown? What is the matter with you? How do you judge? With great difficulty. I do not accept false certainty. The idea that God himself guarantees truth is unacceptable as a critical thinker. There is no certain way of having knowledge. Every step is doubtable. Every faith is doubtable. Every belief, every thought is doubtable. How do I judge? With great difficulty. What is the matter with you? Well, that takes too long to answer. Honestly, we'll be here all day. Most of them follow nothing but assumptions can be of no value at all against the truth. God is well aware of what they do. Nor could the Qur'an have been devised by anyone other than God. It is a confirmation of what was revealed before it and an explanation of the scripture. Let there be no doubt about it. It is from the Lord of worlds. So this one is relying on you being a Christian, or most of it is relying on you being a monotheist beforehand. If you are already a monotheist, these arguments work. These arguments obviously don't work on atheists. I do not believe there is a God. I do not think there ever was a God. I think this is an invention, a political and philosophical and moral invention. It's an idea that is useful, or was useful at least, but has in many ways extended beyond its usefulness. It is now no longer a useful thought, at least in the way that most people use it, and to be honest, in many of the ways it has been used so far. So, but yeah, so the proof here is that it is a confirmation of what was revealed before it. So to make clear, I don't believe in what was revealed before it to be revealed. I think it was invented and devised in just the same way that I think the Qur'an was devised. So it's simply very hard for me to sort of take this argument seriously. Or do they say he has devised it? Say, then produce a surah like it and call on anyone you can beside God if you are telling the truth. Why would I call on anyone? Devising a surah like it's quite. My favorite author is Pratchett. Several times on stream I've read my favorite quote from Pratchett being this story of death being quizzed on the nature of the little lies we tell ourselves. In the book Hogfather, there is this idea. I shall post a reading of it at some point because it is one of the most intriguing and beautiful passages I've ever read, where it really delves into the nature of our beliefs. And that is a surah. I'd say a surah like it. Beautiful in its poetry, beautiful in its philosophy, and elegant in its ability to tell the truth. So I call upon men to tell the truth as far as they are able, with their poetry and with their wisdom. But if they are denying what they cannot comprehend, okay, its prophecy has yet to be fulfilled for them. In the same way, those before them refused to believe. See what was the end of those evildoers. But they are denying what they cannot comprehend. Okay, so now you've also given an out. Even if I can produce a surah like it, I'm just denying what I cannot comprehend. I've just not understood how much greater the surah, the Quran is. By referencing Terry Pratchett's collected works, specifically the Hogfather. Some of them believe in it, and some do not. Your Lord knows best those who cause corruption. Good. Your Lord knows best, not you. Very important passage here. I want to write that one down as well. 1040. Lord knows who corrupts. I think it's very important to stress all of the times when the Quran has told you to leave me alone. I think that's very important. Obviously, I don't want you necessarily to leave me alone. It's very fascinating that a lot of people are interested in what I have to, in my reaction to this. But don't try and convert people. Don't forcibly convert people. Obviously, even this book makes some concessions to this, but don't. To insist upon your scripture is, or to insist upon your understanding of the nature of corruption, simply because you've read this book and disbelief is so often tied into it, is atrocious. Some of them do listen to you, but can you make the deaf hear if they will not use their minds? Some of them look at you, but can you guide the blind if they will not see? God does not wrong people at all. It is they who wrong themselves. Just take a moment here to appreciate exactly how egregious this is as a statement. If they do not believe, they are deaf, dumb, and blind. It is our foolishness that lead us to have disagreements. That is indeed not the case. It is as likely that we are the fools as that you are the fools. At the very least, as likely. On the day he gathers them, it will be as if they had stayed in the world no longer than a single hour, and they will recognize one another. Those who deny the meeting with God will be the losers, for they did not follow the right guidance. Whether we let you, prophets, see some of the punishment we have threatened them with, or cause you to die first, they will return to us. God is witness to what they do. This one I have been told. I want to do something very briefly. My apologies for the break. I'm cooking. Now, this statement. Every community is sent a messenger, and when their messenger comes, they will be judged justly. They will not be wronged. Indeed. Let me be the messenger from the West, then. And I judge that we should progress from the morals of our forefathers. We should take what they have learned and build upon it. We shall stand on the shoulders of giants. It is not for me to say that I am so much taller, so much greater, so much grander than any of the prophets that came before. Instead, I insist that I am but a single tiny gnat, a lice on the head, who simply sees farther because I am a little higher, only because I am permitted to sit atop the head of the prophets. Only because of this can I see that there is more to know, better things to do. This is what progress is about. This is how humanity has progressed for thousands of years, long before the prophet and long after the prophet. We stood on each other's shoulders. We saw farther and farther because of the work that came before us. That does not mean we stop. That does not mean that anyone claims to have come to the top. That does not mean we assume that any further step up will lead us drifting into space. They ask, when will this promise be fulfilled if what you say is true? Say, prophet, I cannot control any harm or benefit that comes to me, except as God wills. There is an appointed term for every community, and when it is reached, they can neither delay nor hasten it, even for a moment. Say, think. If his punishment were to come to you during the night or the day, what part of it would the guilty wish to hasten? Okay. If you believe it when it actually happens, will you believe in it when it actually happens? It will be said, now you believe, when before you sought to hasten it. I wish to hasten it. I wish to confront this evil man. Well, I shouldn't say that. Somebody will take me on my word and say that I want to go and meet my maker, as it was adequately described in a fairly recent video posted by Alex O'Connor. I think this argument is folly. The problem is I can't really argue against it without sounding like I'm inviting someone to kill me. But to be clear, I don't want to die, I don't want to suffer, but I do want to have proof. And if God is not willing to give me proof because the proof would cause me too much suffering, then God does not understand what I will require for proof. Oh no, but God knows that I would only believe for the threat of torment. That is so far from the truth, and that's such a cruel misrepresentation of anyone who disagrees with you. Such a crude one. It will be said to the evildoers, taste lasting punishment. Why should you be rewarded for anything but what you did? They ask you, prophet, is it true? Say, yes, by my Lord, it is true, and you cannot escape it. Every soul that has done evil, if it possessed all that is on earth, would gladly offer it as ransom. When they see the punishment, they will repent in secret, but they will be judged with justice and will not be wronged. Can't escape judgment, which is a good moral philosophy thing. Let's take a moment here to appreciate the goodness here. I am again a little bit triggered by this surah, but the idea of judgment being necessary for it's like believing in karma, right? If you believe in karma, it feels better when you do good and worse when you do evil, because you have this fear that you will suffer evil. It's a bit self-fulfilling because you do and eventually end up, like the belief in karma eventually makes you punish yourself simply from the fear of what you've done. The guilt of what you've done is its own burden, its own terrible burden, and it is very hard for the guilty not to feel this guilt, not to feel this suffering. Our empathy as humans is quite a bit stronger. God has instilled us with this ability to suffer for our evil, even in this life. It is to God that everything in the heavens and the earth truly belongs. God's promise is true, but most people do not realize it. It is He who gives life and takes it, and you will all be returned to Him. People, a teaching from your Lord has come to you, a healing for what is in your hearts, a guide and guidance and mercy for the believers. Say, prophet, in God's grace and mercy let them rejoice. These are better than all they accumulate. Say, think about the provision God has sent down for you, some of which you have made unlawful and some lawful. Say, has God given you permission to do this, or are you inventing lies about God? The provisions God has sent down to us, and then he arbitrarily decides, don't eat blood, don't eat pork meat, don't question why you're not allowed to sleep with men. Don't, like, all of these things are things we can do, but God has denied to us, whether they be provisions in the form of food and drink, or indeed actions in the form of things we only do to please ourselves and do not do harm unto others. Are you inventing lies about God? Like, which one of this argument, flip it around. Are you inventing lies about God? From whence does this certainty come? What will those people who invent lies about him think on the day of resurrection? Ditto. God is bountiful towards people, but most of them do not give thanks. In whatever matter you, prophet, may be engaged, and whatever part of the Qur'an you are reciting, whatever work you people are doing, we witness you when you are engaged in it. Not even the weight of a speck of dust in the earth or sky escapes your Lord, nor anything lesser or greater. It is all written in a clear record. But for those who are on God's side, there is no fear, nor shall they grieve. For those who believe and are conscious of God, for them there is a good news in this life and in the hereafter. There is no changing the promises of God. That is truly the supreme triumph. Do not let their words grieve you, prophet. Power belongs entirely to God. He hears all and knows all. Indeed, all who are in the heavens and on the earth belong to him. Those who call upon others beside God are not really following partner gods, they're only following assumptions and telling lies. Again, twist it around. Ask yourself, why isn't this true for you? Is it because this text tells you it's true? There's one of the great problems with religion. Say, well, the book is true because it says it's true. I can also do that. I can also write. And my favorite example of this is the sort of paradox where you write on one side of the paper, the other side of the paper is true, and the other side says the other side is false. The idea being what you write down, what you recite, what you think, what you speak, any of these things, even though what you memorize, all of these things are open to the same problem. How can we say you are not simply following assumptions and telling lies? Well, because you've said you aren't. Well, anyone can do that, and everyone has. I've said that I'm telling the truth and not a liar, and then been proven wrong seconds later. It is he who made the night so you can rest in it, and the daylight so that you can see. There truly are signs in this for those who hear. There truly are. I mean, insisting again on the truthness of it. It's such a strange thing that only religions seem to be confident in doing. Philosophers tend to try and justify their beliefs. They say, God has children. May he be exalted. He is the self-sufficient one. Everything in the heavens and the earth belongs to him. You have no authority to say this. How dare you say things about God without any knowledge? Ditto. How dare you say that this isn't true without any knowledge? Well, because you have knowledge. How do you know you have knowledge? Well, because I say I do. How should we know because you say you do? It's awful. Your confidence is not should not be a mark of pride. It should be a mark of shame. Say, prophet, those who invent lies about God will not prosper. Ditto. They may have a little enjoyment in this world, but then they will return to us. Then we shall make them taste severe punishment for persisting in blasphemy. Ditto. Tell them the story of Noah. He said to his people, my people, if my presence among you and my reminding you of God's signs is too much for you, then I put my trust in God. Agree on your course of action, you and your partner gods. Do not be hesitant or secretive about it. Then carry out your decision on me and give me no respite. But if you turn away, I have asked no reward from you. My reward is with God alone, and I am commanded to be one of those who devote themselves to him. But they rejected him. We saved him and those with him on the ark, and let them survive. And we drowned those who denied our revelations. See what was the end of those who were forewarned. Okay? necessarily, we don't, I mean, okay, let's just move on. It's a fun story, I guess. Then after him, we sent messengers to their peoples, bringing them clear signs. But they would not believe in anything they had already rejected. In this way, we seal the hearts of those who are full of hostility. After them, we sent Moses and Aaron with our signs to the Pharaoh and his leading supporters, but they acted arrogantly. They were wicked people. They were wicked people. Wicked man. When the truth came to them from us, they said, "This is blatant sorcery." Moses said, "Is this what you say about the truth when it comes to you? Is this sorcery? Sorcerers never prosper." That's almost certainly not true, but of poetry, I guess. They said, "Have you come to turn us away from the faith we found our fathers following, so that you and your brother can gain greatness in this land? We will never believe you." And Pharaoh said, "Bring me every learned sorcerer." When the sorcerers came, Moses said to them, "Throw down whatever you have." When they did so, Moses said, "Everything you have brought is sorcery, and God will show it to be false. God does not make the work of mischief makers right. He will uphold the truth with his words, even if the evildoers hate it." But no one believed in Moses except a few of his own people, for fear that the Pharaoh and their leaders would persecute them. Pharaoh was domineering in the land and prone to excess. Yes, I'm sure that's ditto. Moses said, "My people, if you have faith in God and are devoted to him, put your trust in him." They said, "We have put our trust in God. Lord, do not make us an object of persecution for the oppressors. Save us in your mercy from those who reject your message." We revealed to Moses and his brother, "House your people in Egypt and make these houses places of worship. Keep up the prayer. Give good news to the believers." And Moses said, "Our Lord, you have given Pharaoh and his chiefs splendor and wealth in this present life, and here they are, Lord, leading others astray from your path. Our Lord, obliterate their wealth and harden their hearts, so they do not believe until they see the agonizing torment." Curse, yeah, I mean, this is a great curse, but yeah. God said, "Your prayers are answered, so stay on the right course and do not follow the path of those who do not know." We took the children of Israel across the ocean. Pharaoh and his troops pursued them in arrogance and aggression. But as he was drowning, he cried, "I believe there is no God except the one the children of Israel believe in. I submit to him." Now, when you had always been a rebel and a troublemaker, today we shall save only your corpse as a sign to all posterity. A great many people fail to heed our signs. Everyone, apparently. We settled the children of Israel in a good place and provided good things as sustenance for them. It was only after knowledge had come to them that they began to differ among themselves. Your Lord will judge between them on the day of resurrection regarding their differences. So if you, prophet, are in doubt about what we have revealed to you, ask those who have been reading the scriptures before you. The truth has come to you from your Lord, so be in no doubt. And do not deny God's signs, then you would become one of the losers. Those against whom your Lord's sentence is passed will not believe, even if every sign comes to them, until they see the agonizing torment. I'm going to keep reading. There's a thing I'm thinking of all the way through this, so I should perhaps just speak it, but the idea, you should understand what my mind is saying when I'm thinking when I'm reading this. Clearly, Muhammad was being pushed. Muhammad was being pushed by skeptics, critics, and doubters. People saying like, "Well, why do we believe? Why should we believe? Why is this true? Why?" Some people who are perhaps more politely than me making similar arguments about the appeals to doubt, but indeed his answer eventually first is insisting on his truthness, insisting on the punishment of evildoers and disbelievers. But then, and now to prove this, he tells us a series of biblical stories, as if that should be evidence. Are you insane? Is the Lord of the Rings evidence? Is there nothing? Is there no criticality? Is there no cynicism? Is there no ability to think in any of you? Surely not. How can you simply believe someone who tells you stories about how bad it would go for you if you did not believe? Oh, but you believe those stories were true beforehand. That is perhaps the only way this might have any influence. But let us go on. Let's go on to this fun story. If only a single town had believed and benefited from its belief. Only Jonah's people did so, when they believed, we relieved them of some of the punishment of disgrace in the life of this world, and let them enjoy life for a time. Had your Lord willed, all the people on earth would have believed. So can you, prophet, compel people to believe? No soul can believe except by God's will, and he brings disgrace on those who do not use their reason. I certainly think so. I certainly think that that is exactly what is happening in this world. But perhaps we have a different definition of disgrace. I think that the fact that I live in one of the countries with the best living standards in the world, and it is one of the most atheist countries in the world, is quite good evidence that God does. Perhaps this is proof that God does bring disgrace on those who do not use their reason. For indeed, you have all been disgraced by your lack of reason. Oh, I'm so mean today. So mean. I thought that taking a break would actually make me soften me a little bit, but no, apparently I'm just as much of an asshole as I always was. Say, look at what is in the heavens and on the earth. But what use are these signs and warnings to people who will not believe? I mean, your arguments are weak, and you're saying, well, actually we shouldn't. I mean, they wouldn't believe them even if they were strong. Look at what is all in the heavens and on the earth. And you really think that a creator did this? A creator designed, gave us the appendix, gave the giraffes the artery that loops all the way around their esophagus. Like, there are so many strangenesses in our design, in our nature, all the problems of evil, all the difficulties in natural, like there are wasps that lay eggs inside the ears of infants, or indeed of adults, and they are kept awake by the sound of the gnawing of the larva. Is this the act of God? Is this the act of, like, look at what is in the heavens and earth. This is clearly the act of a cruel and merciless Mother Nature, who does not care about us any more than he cares about any other life on this planet. What are they waiting for but the punishment that came to those before them? Say, wait then, I am waiting too. In the end, we shall save our messenger and the believers. We take it upon ourselves to save the believers. Yep. They say belief is not redemption. I mean, this is a similar idea to the Jesus idea. Prophets say, people, even if you are in doubt about my religion, I do not worship those you worship other than God, but I worship God who will cause you to die, and I am commanded to be a believer. Insisting on the truth of your belief is not the same as demonstrating it, which is what has been happening consistently throughout. All of these proofs are just insistences on the belief, or repetitions of the beliefs, and like perhaps expanding upon it. What a horror. Perhaps I've been told there are more predictions later, though there was a prediction earlier, a statement of scientific inaccuracy, a prediction that was not upheld. Prophet, set your face towards religion as a man of pure faith. Do not be one of those who join partners with God. Do not pray to any other god that can neither benefit nor harm you, insisting on your accuracy. If you do, you will be one of the evildoers. Believing in being wrong is evil, apparently. Or at least worshipping, or at least acting on your false beliefs. Worshipping the wrong god is an act of evil. Worshipping the wrong god is an act of evil, for which you deserve everlasting fire. What a horrible, pretentious, petty God. If God inflicts harm on you, no one can remove it but him, and if he intends good for you, no one can turn his bounty away. He grants his bounty to any of his servants he will. He is the most forgiving, the most merciful. Say, people, the truth has come to you from your Lord. Whoever follows the right path follows it for his own good, and whoever strays does so to his own loss. I am not your guardian. That one deserves to be in the book of Leave Me Alone book. Let's see, 10:108. I am not your guardian. Very good. Prophet, follow what is being revealed to you and be steadfast until God gives his judgment, for he is the best of judges. And that's it. I didn't phrase that properly, but that was today's surah. Shorter, honestly, than I expected. Perhaps less yelling from my side, though there's a lot of concepts that basically a lot of repetition at this point. All of this has been said before to a certain extent. Some sort of new things and new phrasings, a lot of cool poetry, but it's essentially just restating: believe in God, otherwise He will punish you. How can I lie about God? God is the truth. I would not lie about God. It's simply, this is a lovely demonstration of circular logic, and as I made the point, I believe yesterday, how atrocious it is to think that Islamic philosophy bases itself on this kind of thinking. But there you go. It's interesting, and but it is. I won't give it a wrong name. I will. I think I will. I think I will begin giving. I think I will give it a wrong name in quotation marks to indicate that it is not the right name. I'll leave the right name in the description. Though I think that we're getting to the point where I do have sufficient knowledge from the book itself that is absurd, and I can make my own little jokes in the titles. If that perhaps ruins your enjoyment of it, I would say I'm sorry, but I'm not really. Have a nice day, and I will continue my reading tomorrow.